SloMoBackSlap here, slapping you with another video. We are back with another First Descendant video, and we finally have an update from Nexon, the developer for the First Descendant. They have come out with a new dev blog giving us some feedback on their feedback that they got from the Crossplay open beta. And without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and get into it. So this dev note Volume 6 came out early this morning. They let us know through their Discord that it's already been over a month since we ran the Crossplay open beta test of the First Descendant. The reason we haven't been able to share more news with you sooner is because we received so much feedback from our descendants who participated in this test. With your incredible support and interest, we had a lot to consider in shaping the game for a better gaming experience. Our dev team has been having intense internal discussions every day since the test ended. As a result, we were able to set some major directions in a broad framework on how we're going to develop the First Descendant. And today, I would like to share with you what we've learned from the Crossplay open beta. So let's go ahead and just get into this dev note that they sent. So they broke things down in a number of different categories. These categories are missions, prologue and tutorial, UI and UX, shooter, play and action, and optimization and security. So I'll go through each category as they have them listed. So let's get started with missions, which is the first category. And in their dev note, they said, to begin with, we received the most feedback about repetition of missions and underutilization of fields. The current missions and fields were designed with certain intentions by our dev team, but this Crossplay open beta test has made us recognize an urgent need to improve the gameplay. So we're going to make significant improvements to both missions and fields. We'll not only improve the quality of missions, but also add necessary features of co-op play and matchmaking support for dungeon missions. And most importantly, we'll introduce new contents to the fields to make the gameplay more enjoyable. We'll share more details about this in the future dev notes when it is ready to be revealed. Now, my thought on this is excellent. I did a video about this specifically because it seemed like a lot of the missions were pretty much inspired by Warframe. And not even all the Warframe missions, just some of them. And yes, there was a lot of repetition. I am so glad to see that Nexon is recognizing that and addressing it. I did see a lot of feedback about the lack of variety in differences in the open worlds, and that they seemed pretty lifeless. There was literally nothing else going on around them. I am interested in seeing how they're going to address that, but it's good to know that they are addressing it. And also, yes, the matchmaking needs to be fixed, because essentially you go into one of the biomes or the hub worlds, and you only have like 3 or 4 other people with you that would be within that server. And they're off doing their own things. And they've got no incentive really to help you do any of the missions that you have to do there unless they also have to do them. And occasionally I would get people that would join me, but for the most part, no one else joined me. And when I'm ready to do the big dungeon mission, I'm also in that same situation where no one else is doing those missions within the limited people that are in that server. And so I'm doing something that seemed to have been designed with more people in mind, solo. And so sometimes that they come into situations where I felt a little frustration because I'm essentially doing something that has a ton of enemies and they're doing a lot of damage, and I'm doing it all by myself. And so I'm glad to see that they are addressing that as well. Okay, next up is Prologue and Tutorial. Many descendants had positive things to say about the new Prologue and Tutorial, which made the difficult decision to revamp the Prologue after the last Steam beta test all the more rewarding and worthwhile. However, there were also a lot of people who expressed disappointment with the storytelling in conjunction with the repetition of missions that I mentioned earlier. The dev team is working on several ideas and improvements in this area. Now, I do find that interesting. I did enjoy the Prologue and Tutorial and the changes they made there. The disappointment that people expressed with the storytelling, I'm guessing, and this is because I didn't actually see that specific feedback, and it wasn't specific feedback that I gave, but what I am guessing here is that people felt the storytelling outside of the prologue cutscene was somewhat lacking. And I can get that. And essentially, the only way I can see them really addressing that is to add more cutscenes to kind of provide more of that flashiness that we got in the prologue. And that may take some time, but if it provides a better overall experience, you gotta do what you gotta do. Next was UI and UX. There were numerous comments about the UI and UX as well. We've made many improvements to them since the last Steam beta test, but we still received a lot of feedback. Accordingly, we're going to make improvements to the controls and visibility, including improvements to the module UI that many have commented about. And we're also planning to make the much requested loadout feature available at launch. We're also working on improving gamepad controls for console and gamepad users too. Now, these were also issues that I didn't really have with the game, but seeing that loadout feature will be there at launch is awesome. Do you know how many looter shooters don't have actual loadouts for a game where you have various different builds and so much build diversity? To not have a loadout at launch, or to not have loadouts at all, is, I think, pretty much egregious. And the fact that they are making sure that's going to be there at launch, so I'm really happy to see that, because typically you don't really get that feature added until way down the line. Second to last is shooter play and action. We've also received diverse feedback on the shooter play and action aspects of the game, and we're really encouraged that many have expressed a high level of satisfaction with various combat sound effects. We're planning to continue balancing the combat sound effects and adding more detail to increase the quality. In terms of gameplay, there were a lot of complaints of frustrated players due to the difficulty in obtaining ammunition, and I would like to say that we're also preparing various improvements for this issue. Regarding action, there was great interest in the completely revamped grappling hook and the addition of parkour. While there was a lot of positive feedback, there were just as many suggestions for more improvement. Despite the plentiful feedback on enhancing the action aspect, our dev team are honestly cautious about it because of the balance with the shooter play. Nevertheless, we're testing several radical features to answer our Descendants' requests seriously. We'll decide on this after taking several internal tryouts, so we'll get to you more about it later on. Now, I do see a little pushback from Nexon in regards to the grappling hook and parkour, and I understand that, because the more vertical you make the game, the more you're really changing the gameplay. And I do think revamping the grappling hook was a good idea on their part. I don't know what some of the other suggestions were, but any additional ways or methods that you use a grappling hook in order to make the combat more dynamic is always going to be potentially a balancing issue. So you gotta make sure that that stuff doesn't completely change the gameplay or make things completely super easy, however they want to go about it, and I understand that. That said, there are some level design choices they made with the grappling hook, in addition to you doing platforming with the grappling hook to get to certain other areas that I felt were completely ridiculous, and I would much rather they just completely take those areas out. Maybe that's just me. And then we have our final topic, which is optimization and security. We're also aware of issues with optimization, graphics, quality, and settings. We're already working on specific improvements, so please look forward to them. Finally, we've made it one of our highest priorities to establish measures in response to users who use cheating methods during the Crossplay open beta test. We apologize once again to our descendants who had an inconvenience from users that did not play in a fair way. And that was kind of self-explanatory to me, and something that I already kind of figured they were going to be doing and implementing before they even had to come out and actually say it. They would, of course, continue to keep optimizing the game, although I do believe out of all the Unreal Engine 5 games that I've played, probably half a dozen so far, the First Descendant is probably the most stable with the best performance. But when it comes to security and people cheating, this is a PvE game. This is not even a competitive multiplayer game. Why are you still using cheating methods? It's just, can people just stop being bums is what I want to know. Like, how trash of a player must you be to still be cheating in a game that's not even competitive multiplayer, but cooperative multiplayer? Like, come on. So, whatever. So, in conclusion, I think this was very good feedback from Nexon. I do like some of the changes that they're going to make. Of course, we don't know for certain when the game is going to come out. They did not speak on that specifically. They said that we're still discussing heatedly about our release schedule and future plans, and to implement your feedback for better quality. We are looking into the launch period to be in 2024, but we don't know exactly when next year it will be coming out. As I've said before, take as much time as you possibly can to make sure that when you launch the game, it's in its best possible quality. And I didn't see some things that I kind of wished they would address is some of the feedback that how you unlock Descendants and the amount of materials you need to unlock Descendants, in addition to the time gating after you get those materials and you go to unlock a Descendant. You have that 12-hour period that you have to either use some kind of monetization to get through in that. I think that's something that is something that they've taken from other live service games, some gacha games, some games like Warframe, and I feel like in particular with Warframe, that kind of method of getting monetization is not appreciated. So that's something that I think they should probably look into changing potentially. If you want people to potentially get money, I would say give people the option of unlocking the Descendant and putting in the time to unlock that Descendant, or they could pay to just get that Descendant without having to do all the additional work for free in order to get it. Give people multiple options there. If they want to spend the money to get all the Descendants, hey, go for it. But if they want to actually work for it, I think kind of punishing them by making them wait 12 hours or to spend more money after doing the grind is a bit unnecessary. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comment section below. I, of course, will continue to look out for whatever Nexon says next about the first Descendant. Hopefully finding more time period of a release window. We'll see what happens. Until then, please hit that like button, subscribe button, all that good stuff. Take care. Peace out.